Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Thursday, December 11th, 2025. I'm looking forward to saying 26 soon. I'll admit it, I am. So, good morning, y'all. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you are here live, if you are watching the replay, don't forget to give me a hashtag replay. Anyway, let me get back on track here. My name is Hammer. I am the founder of Originator Success, Grab and Go Social, and Rate Sensei, 3 great products to help you to build your business as a loan originator. Remember, I do this each and every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Love to have you here with me. If you're watching the replay, don't forget to give me a hashtag replay. If you want to have a text alert to remind you that I'm going live, you can sign up for that at hmmr.io/reminder or use this cool QR code over there. hmmr.io/reminder or use this cool QR code. Don't worry, Mr. Mike Tebow. I am going to tell you all about what was going on with yesterday. Mike said, what a surprise. And he's absolutely right. I'm going to leave that up there for a moment, but that's absolutely right. Remember, you can also sign up for our daily email lock advice, www.ratelockaadvice.com. Our text alerts at ratetextalerts.com, $7 a month. No need to, if you like the deep, heavy stuff with the other services, they're all great, but most originators don't necessarily want or need that. And if you just want to know what's going on, when should I lock, protect my pipeline, this is the product for you. Go check it out, ratetextalerts.com. And let's go ahead and take a look at what else we got going on. If you're here, say good morning. Let's say hi to the live folks, and then we'll jump in. I'll tell you all about what happened yesterday at the Fed meeting, why we're seeing rates improve, how long it's likely to last. And also, I'm going to give you my rant on why most of the social posts suck and what you need to say on there. So anyway, we got Jerry Avila. Good morning, sir. Mike Tebow, of course. Great to have you. Holly Johnson. Good morning. Tim Klyla. Great to have you. Deb Dickinson. Lovely to see you. Allison Foy, Amy Blauser, and Zane. Good morning. Brandy Brickler. Good morning. Rob Smith. Great to have you here. Angela Walters. Great to see you. Yasmin Martin. Hello. Mallory Fotiadis and Sean Segaloff. Sean said, I felt like you were Braveheart yesterday, texting us to hold. Exactly, right? That's why we flowed into the meeting. So I'm going to get into it in a minute. Vicky McSweeney, good to see you. All right, so let me tell you what's going on this morning and kind of where we're at, and we'll move from there. So first things first, let's go ahead and do a quick recap. So yesterday we saw an awesome improvement in mortgage bonds. Now, I didn't really go into a big deal yesterday that it was a bond rollover. And so as a bond rollover, the numbers were off a little bit. If you actually compared where we were the day before to ending, and we were showing plus more than what that math worked, that's because of the bond rollover. It was like 10 basis points. So, but what happened yesterday, take a look here. Let me pull this over and we'll go over this together. Oops. Let me make it a little smaller so it'll stop fighting me. Okay. Let me pull the bottom up a little bit. All right. So taking a look here, yesterday you could see, exactly what happened to my Presentify. There it is. Presentify. Boom. Okay. All right. There we are. So let's take a look here. Yesterday, you could see that we had a little bit of improvement in the early morning before pricing came out, right? Wasn't a tremendous amount, but it was a little bit, enough to kind of get us excited. Then it was very quiet as we got into the Fed meeting. Now at 2 p.m. Eastern time right here, you could see we had just a little bit of improvement. And that was mainly due to what we saw with the dot plot and a little bit of the Fed statement and what they had held back on that. But it didn't go much. I mean, we were right back down to the same level. Then it was kind of peeped up a little bit. And at 2:30 p.m., that is when the press conference started. And it's basically right here. And then you could see after that press conference, things went nuts. And that shows you, let me clear this out a little bit. You take a look at 2:30. Look, 2:30 is right here. A little bit of a blurb. Goes back down, and then boom, it goes up. That shows you how important that press conference really is. In fact, let me zoom in on this. I got to refresh the damn page. Hold on a second now. It's going to take a minute. But that press conference, and that's what I've got up on the screen is Powell put away his Grinch costume. So what we saw is right here during this, Powell talked about how they're actually going to be doing a little bit of quasi quantitative easing. Now, it's not quantitative easing. They're just trying to keep liquidity in the system. It's a complicated topic. We could spend a lot of time talking about it, but basically the Fed's going to go in and buy $40 billion worth of short-term treasuries. Bonds do like that. Mortgage bonds liked it. 10-year treasury liked it. It's not long-term, but they still liked it. Okay. But he came out there and he, came out with, I won't dare say a dovish message or a dovish tone, meaning accommodative, but it was not hawkish. What markets were expecting when we look at where things were at for the last couple of days before that meeting, right? Let me make this a little smaller so it fits on the screen. Let me slide this over a little bit. Okay. So when we look, you've got, this is on the 5th, which was Friday. Then you've got, basically, let's just go ahead and draw right here. This is everything for this week, right? So we've got Friday back. So Monday, we lost a little bit of ground. Tuesday, we lost a lot of ground going into Wednesday. And this was different than what we have been seeing the last few meetings. The last few meetings, we talked about it yesterday, where we have seen in the last few meetings, we'd seen rates actually get better. Let me move this over a little bit more. Bear with me, y'all. Hold on, let's get rid of that. Get rid of this. Okay. Okay, so the previous couple of meetings, we had seen rate sheets improve heading into the actual Fed meeting. So right here, we saw it. That was our low point before the September meeting. And this was the low point before the October meeting. And then this time around, we were up here. It was a very different reaction. So rather than being down and down, we actually had worked our way up heading into the meeting. So when Powell came out and was kind of happy, we saw a relief rally. We saw bonds actually recover. And the 10-year treasury yield, we take a look here, this thing, we were up to 419, and then it ended at I think it was 414. Yeah, 414. Now it's down to 411, 410, 411. And that is a relief rally. So bonds were prepared for a more hawkish Powell. And I said he might burn down the barn on his way out. They were expecting Powell to be like, we are done. This is it. Be happy and don't complain. And instead, Powell was like, well, we're going to have a lot of data before the January meeting and things will be whatever. And we're still looking to keep things down, right? So as Siegel says, Powell was happy. He probably scowls at holiday parties. I don't know. I think, he gave that one reporter a mulligan when he asked him about what he wanted to walk him into a trap about Trump. I forgot what it was he asked specifically. I think it was either more on the tariffs or, something stupid. Oh, or about, I don't know. It was whatever, but he gave him a mulligan. So he's a happy guy. So rate sheets today, going to be much better than yesterday. If we take a look at pricing, using Mortgage News Daily as a reference point, we bumped up to kind of some of the higher levels that we've seen, 6.35, 6.36. That was kind of where we were at right here. You could see back in November, 6.38, 6.36. So this is actually where we were right before the Fed meeting. Now, if the meeting had gone badly, which is what I thought was going to happen, I thought Powell was going to just burn the place down. And I thought we were going to see rates jump up and we were going to see the worst rates we've seen in a few months. I'm very thankful that we didn't. And that's why you float into the Fed meeting. We don't have a crystal ball. It's why I said not to lock yesterday. The advantage to the Fed meetings, it happens at 2 o'clock and 2:30 in the afternoon, where you have the ability to go ahead and flow into it and then quick lock before you get reprices worse. There was never any concern about reprices worse this time around. The statement came out, bonds got just a hair better, but we were like, okay, hold. And that's what Segeloff was saying about with my text message. It was like, hold. And then the press conference started and his prepared comments, and they were like, yeah, not bad, but not good, but not bad. And then when he started answering questions, markets were like, all right, woohoo, let's go. We're good. We're off to the races. And we saw a lot of improvement. So, we see yesterday, this 6.3, that's later in the day. That's after reprices. Yesterday's, we were up to 6.38 or maybe even a little bit higher if you were using Mortgage News Daily to kind of keep this as a reference point. We were higher in the morning because when you look at where we were here, we had a lot of movement after that 10 a.m. mark the day before, and that was on rate sheets. So rate sheets were much worse. So it's actually a better relief rally, a better recovery than even what you see here. This goes from 6.35 to 6.3. It's actually more like 6.45 to 6.3. It was a nice relief rally yesterday. It's important to note that that is improving and continuing today. We're up about 8 basis points on the day. Jobless claims came in a little bit higher than expected, higher than last month or last week rather. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not going to move mountains, but it does add to the idea that there is a little bit of a weaker labor market. Reprice risk on the day is low. We want to go ahead and ride this wave as long as momentum is on our side. Momentum won't be on our side forever, but it is on our side right now. Okay. So we can kind of go ahead and ride that. And expectations of what's going to happen next, markets are like, okay, hey, there's still a pretty good shot that we might get continued rate cuts in January by the time we get enough data. So remember, this is the end of January. It's almost February. It's 6 weeks away. We're going to have a lot of data. And that was talked about in Powell's press conference. We're going to have a lot of data coming into this meeting. Now, that starts next week. Next week, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the BLS jobs data and the CPI inflation. First time that I can ever remember we've gotten 2 of those reports in the same week. And that could give more positive momentum. If we ride into next week and markets are like, hey, we think that the Fed is still not near their neutral rate. Markets, if we see a really weak labor market and maybe we get inflation that hasn't moved higher, that could really help. Now, we don't have a lot to worry about that rates are going to move. We don't have to worry about that rates are going to go much higher from here. What I put in the morning report this morning, when my morning one, which remember, if you're not signed up for that, you absolutely need to be signed up for that. Let me go ahead and move this over and I'll show it to you. You absolutely need to sign up for that. Let me throw up the code on there. If anybody's not signed up for the daily email, it comes from ratesensei.com. Make sure that you are getting it. It comes from Hammer at ratesensei.com. I know that some of the lender email systems are still blocking this. You got to get with your IT team if you're not seeing it. So, but when we take a look here at this, where I was kind of going is I've kind of dialed in this format. I change it up once in a while. And this is the rate outlook for today. This is the rate outlook for the next 15 days. 15 to 30 days. And I talk about where I think rates will be and why. So not just locking or floating, lock or float advice is in red, and then kind of where we're at. And, the loans that these loans could see rates improve into next week. And although there will be a pause, we're not going to see rates continue to improve every day, right? We could get more help from next week's BLS jobs data and inflation data, unless we see a turn in momentum that causes a scare. It's likely rates will creep lower with a bit of help next week. We're unlikely to worry about rates having to move up anytime in December. So I don't think we really, unless you were to get a really, really high inflation reading or a very strong labor report, and even that, I think markets would tend to dismiss them overly optimistically because of when they were collected. So keep that in mind on that stuff. So anyway, I think that kind of has it all. Let's go ahead and talk about your comments. Let me make sure I've addressed y'all. Ron Siegel said today is National Noodle Ring Day. That has got to be one of the weirdest ones ever. I don't even know what a noodle ring is. Powell's press conference. It's a first. It's the first in a while. I was kind of used to the idea that the press conferences were being good for us, and then they've really started to kick our ass. So this one coming in this way is actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Ron Siegel, help yesterday. We went into the press with such low expectations. Yes. And that's why it's a relief rally, because markets were expecting him to just go ahead and burn the barn down, which is what I was expecting. And I'm glad that we didn't get that. Jerry said it was definitely the first time I've seen him smile, and he was laughing with the media. He's on the home stretch. Somebody asked him about his legacy, and he said, he's just trying to continue to get us to that soft landing. And he thinks the soft landing is in the bag, is one of the things he really kind of paraphrased. And he said that was the best question of the day. He asked if the talk of a new chair would inhibit the committee's ability to do the work. One word answer, no. Yeah, that was a good one. FOMC conferences in the morning on the warm coast. Oh yeah. That's because you guys wake up so late over there. Is Mortgage News Daily the same as MBS Live? Yes, Mortgage News Daily is the free version of MBS Live stuff. Yes, it's the same thing. It's all Matt Graham's baby there, and I think he's got some partners. Should I get the Coast Guard ice cutter out to float boat back in the water? Put the float boat back in the water, Mike. Definitely put that float boat back in the water. SpaghettiOs, noodle rings, or SpaghettiOs. Okay. Morning, Bobby Garcia. But anyway, that's what we got, my friends. We can continue to ride this wave. It's, we're not going to see rates go much lower, but we're seeing them move lower again in that direction. Basically, this relieves the fear that things are going to go higher. And that's the best that we can hope for in this current market. As far as economic data tomorrow, I don't think there's anything. Let me just double check here. I'm looking to see if there's anything we got to be prepped for tomorrow. No, tomorrow there's nothing. So I really think we'll just see kind of the worst case scenario. This improvement rally will kind of peter out and bonds will be flat tomorrow. And then going into next week, we've got all the data. We've got BLS data earlier in the week. I think Tuesday. I'll double check the dates. And then I think Thursday is the CPI data again. Actually, you know what? Hold on, he'll have them on the economic calendar. He always puts it out a week in advance. So the next week we've got, BLS jobs data is on Tuesday. We got retail sales on Wednesday, and then the core CPI is on Thursday. So I had those right. So that's what we got going on. And then the PCE data too. Wow. PCE data comes in on Friday. So we're going to get one big jobs report and two inflation reports in the same week. It's going to be a big week. I think we've got the ability to see some of the lowest rates that we've seen in a while. So I would continue to hold. Randy said, last I saw, 49 lenders repriced better yesterday. Yeah, it was it was a whole thing all around. So it was definitely, but I didn't suggest taking advantage of that yesterday in my end of day text, because I thought we were going to see some continuation this morning and seeing more of that unwind. And this is what we've seen. Again, bond markets improved are improved about 11 basis points right now. So that's going to help improve pricing even from those reprices better yesterday. So this should really help bring things back down and, recover that eighth of a point we kind of lost over the last week. But that's it. So, all right, my friends, thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow. I hope you have a fantastic day. And also, if you're a Grab and Go social member, we're going to do something about Grab and Go, about getting out there with the Fed thing. In fact, you know what? Hold on, 1840. Let me show you before I wrap up. If you're all still here, let me show you something real quick about how to do this right. And let me see. So bear with me. I wonder if I could, probably if I try to play this video, it'll probably take too long, but let me see something. I'm going to try to do something. I am going to do a local video. Local video requires a capable device to play. I'm sure my device can handle it. Upload video. Stop trying to educate and start selling. For reals, y'all. The Fed cut rates. I know that the Fed didn't cut mortgage rates. You know the Fed didn't cut mortgage rates, but it doesn't do you any good to try to tell everybody else. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. All right, we're going to flip this around. Hopefully y'all can read this okay. And it says, the Fed just cut rates again. Is now the right time to refinance? And you've got this person here. One would think Realtor.com would have a better idea what the hell they were talking about. But no, they don't. Yes, they do. They're marketing. They inferred that the Fed did something with mortgage rates. They didn't say that it did. That would be wrong. That would be misinformation. What they did is infer. Here's somebody that's telling the absolute truth. Here you go. Make sure you can see this, right? It says the Fed cut the Fed funds rate by a quarter point today. The Fed did not cut mortgage rates. Guess what? That doesn't get you any business. That pushes people away. Yes, that's correct. That's educating. But do you get paid to educate? Are you a professor? Did I miss something? Do you have tenure? I don't think so. Now, let me show you real quick. Let's flip around. Give me a second, and I'll show you another one where... Hold on. I got to get it open. We're coming. I had to prep, but it took me a second. All right, here you go. So, the Fed just cut rates again. And if you've been thinking about buying a home, this just opened a door you don't want to miss. Here's why today is good news. And he goes through and he actually still tells them, even though mortgage rates didn't instantly drop, this cut still helps buyers. And he talks about why. You know what? This gets business. Don't educate, sell. You get paid for writing loans. Thank you. Goodbye. All right. So you heard the volume on that, right? I've never actually played with that before. So that was actually pretty cool. Yeah. And by the way, that's captions. So I'm going to go into Grab and Go Social and I'm going to probably either have Austin create something or whatever, but run with it. If people lean into, you can educate them after the conversation, but don't fight with them. You don't like go up to somebody and be like, you wear too much makeup. Do you want to go out on a date? No, you go up and you say, hey, I really like your outfit. Would you like to go on a date? And then on the date, if things are going well, you say, hey, you're a beautiful man or woman. You don't need to wear so much makeup. I know you wouldn't really do that, but you get the point. Hopefully you guys get the point. Let me know in the comments in the chat. Let me know how that worked out. And so that was AI. So if that video had like some weird things that were covered up and stuff, I didn't fix it. I recorded the video. It's 1 minute and 53 seconds long. It took me 2 minutes to record a video. I put it into Captions, an app. I said, AI, edit this. It did all of that. I left it alone, and now I post it. And I put it on TikTok. I'll throw it on Facebook. I'll throw it on Instagram. So, guys, like these tools that we have today, they're amazing. So I'm going to have Austin do something in Grab and Go Social with this. We'll talk about it. Mike Tebow, in the words Julia Roberts, a pretty woman, I need to go shopping now. So, and that's the whole, I like compliment sandwich. Yeah, exactly. Right. I don't know what you're talking about, Randy, but like the key is, remember your headlines and the things you're putting on social, they're supposed to attract and create a conversation. You can educate, do it later. So, all right, my friends, I'm wrapping up. Thank you again for having me. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Hope you have a fantastic day for reals. Thanks for watching.